Harp on Sports, The Bar, podcast, media, audio, and radio network. What do we have in store for you on this edition of the program? It's time, baby. Preseason prediction time. Going to look at college football and the major conferences. What do I expect when it comes to the college football playoff, your major bowl games, all of it. I also have my Heisman Trophy prediction and the 5 coaches that are feeling the squeeze as the season begins. One actually just got a little tighter. So we're going to look at that. Also, Tom Brady is back. Played the final preseason game. The questions are flying because he looks thinner. Something's wrong with his face, people are saying. It's called getting older, man. It'd be like, oh, what's wrong with him? He's 45. He's 45 is what's wrong. What do you mean what's wrong with him? So I think it's just funny how everybody knows, oh, Tom Brady, oh my gosh, because he's almost 50. He's closer to 50 than he is to 40. He even said it. And why this is just a waste of time. We kind of hit on this in a previous podcast, but everybody concerned about Tom Brady. There's 3 things that are going to happen the first month of the year. I guarantee it. We're going to look at those as well. I shouldn't say guarantee it, but like clockwork, it happens. Again, Harp on Sports, The Bar, podcast, media, audio, and radio network, Twitter, Instagram, at Harp on Sports, both of those platforms. You can check us out, Auditory Route, Buzzsprout, Spotify, Apple Podcast. Also, Harp on Sports, the YouTube page, Harp on Sports, the Facebook page, and harponsports.com. Okay, let's start off with this. And it is what I consider to be the college football forecast. And I'm not going to go through and go win, loss. I don't do that. You know, I make fun of people that do that. But I think you can give an overall arc, like Vegas does. Overall thought about how many wins, how many losses. And, looking at each conference, I think that the conference with the least debate is the SEC. There's nobody touching Georgia in the SEC East. And yeah, A&M, and everybody's really, really hung up on Arkansas. That's fine. I think Arkansas can go 9-3, 8-4-ish, but they're not beating Alabama. So what are we wasting our time here for? So I'm not going to get into a big debate about this because I don't think there is much of one. I think Georgia goes undefeated. And actually, I'm going to go Georgia 11-1. Georgia will trip somewhere along the way. Georgia goes 11-1, Alabama goes 12-0, and there you go. Now your debate is in a little bit of a reversal of last year, where 11-1 Alabama comes into the SEC championship and 12-0 Georgia, and Alabama beats them, and it creates a college football playoff with 2 SEC teams. 11-1 Georgia, 12-0 in Alabama, and here we go. Just because it's so difficult for teams to go undefeated in back-to-back seasons in the regular season, it just hardly ever happens. Could happen with Georgia. Could. Georgia 11-1, Alabama 12-0, and I have Alabama beating them. I have Alabama undefeated, college football playoff. Who's going to be joining them? Well, it's like this. Ohio State's loaded. And, Michigan lost a ton of guys. The other division in the Big Ten doesn't do much. Northwestern, Minnesota, Wisconsin. What's it going to be? Who's it going to be? So, Iowa, come on. None of those teams are beating Ohio State. Now, do they have a couple curveballs in there? Yes. They got to play Michigan State. Of course, Michigan at the end of the year is tough, but they're going to get them in Columbus, Penn State. I just don't see anybody beating Ohio State. So I've got Alabama 1, Ohio State 2. I think they both go unbeaten. I do. The third team in this equation is Clemson. Yeah, they had a down year last year. They're a little bit banged up. Not now. Was it DJ Ugalele, excuse me. Shame on me, right? DJ Ugalele, here we go. Everybody thought he had a chance to be a Heisman contender last year. They had a bad year where they go 8-4, 9-3. So I think they're going to be loaded, and everybody's forgotten about them, and that conference is still booty. I've got Clemson. I think Clemson will lose once, but I think they're like an 11-1, 12-1 team in the college football playoff, and they're going to be hitting their stride as the year progresses. And the fourth team I have in the college football playoff is Baylor. A little bit of a curveball on this one. I think Utah will be right there as well. but a little bit better competition in the Big 12. A little more to navigate in the Big 12, at least for now. And I think Baylor, Dave Aranda, I think they do. I think Baylor gets over the hump. This is a Baylor team that won that conference a year ago with 2 losses. I think this year they win it with 1. And Baylor punches their ticket to the national championship, or at least the college football playoff. So 1 Alabama, 4 Baylor, 2 Ohio State, 3 Clemson. When it's all said and done, I think you have Alabama and Ohio State, and Alabama beats them. That's why I'm wearing the shirt. I think Alabama wins a national championship. Adios. So there you go. I made quicker work of that, didn't I? And why? Look, I mean, you've got the returning Heisman Trophy winner. You've got 3 5-star guys as weapons. And, they lose guys. Of course they lose guys, but they lose guys all the time. He's returning more starters for the first, what is it? I think I went through and looked at this. Only once before is he brought back more talent, returning more starters, more skilled position players. He's bringing back more guys. He had 2 receivers get hurt last year. Or at least one got drafted, one got hurt. He's bringing back more talent on that defense. It's ridiculous what he's been able to do. So I'm going with Alabama. Looking at the state of Florida. I'm kind of cheating on this because Florida State's already played a game. Congratulations on the mighty takedown of the Duquesne Dukes. Good gracious. I didn't even know they had a football team. I remember they played Notre Dame in basketball when I was in junior high because I almost went to the game. But playing a school like that for Florida State should be ashamed of themselves. They should be embarrassed. What do they have next weekend? They got LSU next weekend at LSU. Okay, maybe it'll gear them up for that. They go in there and win that, then they'll get some people's attention. They go in there and win that. I think they're looking at an 8-win season if they go in there and win something like that. Maybe even 9 games. It's because the ACC is such a question mark. But when it's all said and done, I got Florida State going 8-4. And I look at that schedule. They get Miami at home. They have to go to LSU. They play Clemson. I think that Mike Norvell's making strides. I do. Didn't get to a bowl game last year. He's going to get to one this year. He's got a decent amount of talent on that team. They're not quite there yet, but, they could end up when it's all said and done in Jacksonville. That's the type of season there, in the Gator Bowl. That's the type of year they're going to have. So, I like Clemson. I like Florida State to go 8-4. Looking at Miami, this is another one because Miami's schedule isn't exactly the most daunting. Now, they got to go to A&M and to Clemson. But, if you're going to play games like that, especially like conference games, I know you'd much rather have Clemson at home. I get it. And the fact that Mario Cristobal's coming back, he's done a nice job recruiting, has quite a bit of talent there. And does he have a ways to go? Yes, Miami has a ways to go. But for the first time that I feel, Mark Richt that year, they had a good year. But I think they feel good about the reflection that they see in the mirror. So I've got Miami going 8-4 as well. Florida State, 8-4. Miami, 8-4. And the reason... I look at it like, Florida State going to LSU is probably a loss. Miami going to Texas A&M, it's a loss. And Miami has to go to Clemson. At least, when they take, they got to go to Florida State too. They just have a tough road. Miami a little bit tougher. But I think both Florida State and Miami go 8-4. When it comes to the Florida Gators, I've got Florida going 6-6. 7-5. Right around in there. That game at Florida State at the end of the year is going to determine whether or not they win 7 games. And to me, the most important game for them is Kentucky. Because they're not beating Utah. Florida's not beating Utah. If you wait and see. No, you can mark this down. Florida will not beat Utah. Not going to do it. The team scored 40 points against Ohio State in the Rose Bowl last year. And until injuries started to bite them, including injuries, the quarterback position in the fourth quarter, they scored 50 points in that game. That's the Ohio State team that everybody's picking to be in the national championship game. And Utah had them down in the fourth quarter in the Rose Bowl. And Utah's bringing back, 9 of 11 starters on that offense? They can't handle the swamp, the heat. It's hotter in Utah during the day than it is in Florida at night. The humidity is what's going to get you. Yeah, it's hot. But it's not more humid during the day. at night than it is during the day. It's going to be hot for them. Of course it's going to be hot. It's going to be hot for everybody. But somehow they can't handle the heat. Utah, they can't handle the heat. Not ready for this heat. I get if it were at noon. You bet you could sell me on that. But you can't sell that to me at night. You just can't. And let's face it, if it's been like the weather the last, week or so here in Florida, you can get one of those nights where it's like 84 during the day, and all of a sudden it's like 77 at night. What are they not going to be able to handle that either? They played in the Rose Bowl where like game time temperature at kickoff was like 84 degrees. They're not going to be able to handle this. Come on. I love how people practice in 90-degree heat during the day. They're going to play a night game on the road. They can't handle the heat. So for me, Kentucky's everything. They beat Kentucky. They're 1-1. They'll be 2-1 because they'll drill South Florida. And then the Tennessee game can get you. It's on the road. Then you're talking all of a sudden having an 8-win season. You can start to talk yourself into that with that Kentucky game. This team starts off 0-2. Now you're going to be chasing your tail all year. So I got Florida going. You know what? I'll be nice. I'll have them going 7-5. 7-5. But I think that's the ceiling. We're talking 9-10 win seasons. You go ahead and believe it if you want. Go ahead. I'm not. I'm a realist. I know rubbing two pennies together or two nickels together isn't going to make me a dime. But go ahead, rub them together. See what you get. Rub those ships together. See what happens. Excuse me. So there you go on that front. Look at the other conferences. Again, I told you I like Baylor to win the Big 12. I like Baylor over Oklahoma in the Big 12. Oklahoma State will be right there. They were last year. I don't think Texas is quite there yet, but they're close. And, I thought long and hard about this when it comes to awards and, nobody is repeated as Heisman Trophy winner in 40 years. Longer than that. Almost 50 now. 45 years. The last time the favorite won it was when? Marcus Mariota was the last favorite to win it. It's like 8-9 years ago now. So I look at guys like C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young. History tells us that they don't win it. It just does. One of the weapons on Ohio State, one of the weapons on Alabama. I'm going with Clemson's quarterback, DJ Uiagalelei. So I'm picking to win the Heisman. Why? Because I think Clemson's going to be really good this year. It's amazing how this team was in the college football playoff 2 years ago, neck and neck. The only game they lost that year before losing to Ohio State was who? To Notre Dame without their starting quarterback. Now, and DJ Uiagalelei, what did he do? He put together what did he throw for 500 yards in South Bend that night? And all they've heard is how they're done. All they've heard is how they take a gigantic step back. Watch what happens with Clemson this year. Plus, he's going to rack up some monster numbers in that conference. He is. Where Ohio State, look, they're going to put on some displays too, but they're going to have their work cut out for them. Even with like Notre Dame out of the gate and games at Michigan State and games against Penn State, they're going to have their work cut out for them. Who's going to really challenge Clemson? Who? Not this year. It's going to be like what they did 4 or 5 years ago in that conference. Just go dance right through it. And dance right through it. So there's my Heisman winner. Want to look at a couple other things too. To me, I want to tell you the 5 coaches that I think that are feeling the squeeze. People like to use the hot seat. You can get up and walk around if the seat's hot. If somebody's got you in their grasp and they're squeezing you can't do much about it. So I was thinking about the squeeze. What coaches are feeling it. And I think it's, I don't want to say elementary, but I think it's not as obvious as people think who's feeling the most pressure. Because certain guys have to do certain things to keep their jobs. Some people say Scott Frost is feeling it. No, because Scott Frost can go 8-4 at Nebraska, they're going to keep him. He can't even go 8-4 in Nebraska, they're going to keep him. If he has a losing record or goes 6-6, are they going to keep him? Probably not. They lost to Northwestern. Yeah, they did. Should have beat them. Another close loss. Yeah. But I got him 5th on my list. Scott Frost, feeling the squeeze. I just think that the expectations aren't there for like a 9 or 10 win season for him. They can get to 8 wins. People are like, okay, 8-4, all right. Go to the what bowl game would that feed him? Outback Bowl. Probably keep his job. Not the Outback Bowl anymore, right? Tampa Bowl. I can't remember what the guys are gonna have to learn these all over again, aren't I? Oh my gosh, that's ridiculous. So from that to I have Jimbo Fisher fourth. Now Jimbo Fisher, his buyout's gigantic and it's ridiculous, but he's entering what, year 4? Jimbo's in year 4 in Aggie land. Last year they went 8-4 and he beat Nick Saban. The year before they won double-digit games, won a major bowl game. They're going to expect to get back there. And the reason I put Jimbo Fisher at 4 is because there's another guy that's coming up here. They're starting to feel the crunch now a little bit, right? Because Texas wasn't what they were. Baylor's starting to make a move in that state. And, you kind of look around at A&M, be thinking maybe that window closed. Maybe Jimbo Fisher's best chance. Who knows what Sarkisian? He got Archie Manning to come. So maybe Jimbo missed his window to really make a stamp in that state. Ton of talent. So who knows yet? But I got Jimbo at 4. I got James Franklin at 3 at Penn State. Again, the coaches with the most squeeze on him this year heading into the season. He went from 9 wins to 11 wins to 4 wins to 7 wins. He's in his 9th season, by the way. James Franklin's been at Penn State a decade. That's almost hard to believe. Or close to a decade. He's entering his 9th season at Penn State. 11 wins, 4 wins, 7 wins. So he combined as many wins the last 2 seasons. Now one was shortened than he did the year before. If James Franklin goes out and goes 7-5 again, I know they just gave him big bucks. But here's the thing. With the Big Ten's new $1.3 billion TV deal, $20 million buyouts are high fives. Maybe he walks. Maybe he goes somewhere else. Maybe they let him go somewhere else. But it's a season where not a lot expected out of Penn State. Another losing record or another bad season for James Franklin. Do I think they keep him? Yeah. But he's feeling the squeeze. He needs to get something done. Number 2 on the list, I have Chip Kelly, UCLA. Look, he won 8 games last year. Did a nice job last year. He won 8 games. Getting ready to enter the Big Ten. Okay, is he the guy you want? And he's made progress. He's in his 4th year there? He's making each day getting stronger, better. But in a year where the Pac-12 seems it's Utah and then kind of Oregon and everybody else, is this year Chip Kelly gets to the Rose Bowl? And again, with the big money starting to come in, this team goes 6-6. Is Chip Kelly going to survive that in year 4, year 5? I've got Chip Kelly, number 2. And number 1, Steve Sarkisian at Texas. Arch Manning is committed there. Some people may say, well, he committed for Sarkisian. Maybe. Maybe that's why he committed. Could be. But I can tell you this. Coming off a 5-7 campaign, getting ready to join the SEC, Arch Manning waiting in the wings. He goes 5. Look, they were talking about firing him last year at some point. Now, he won his last game, right? He got to 5 wins. He could have been 4-8. He has another losing season this year. Does he survive at Texas? See, that's where he is. And Texas is such a bigger pressure cooker than everything else. Look at their last 3 coaches. Look at their last 3 coaches. Charlie Strong, done. Tommy Herman, done. Sarkisian in his 2nd year. What you got for me? Now, look, I think Texas is an 8-win football team with the talent that they have. But Scott Frost wins 8 games, he keeps his job. Jimbo Fisher wins 8 games, does he keep his job? Maybe because the buyout's so large. James Franklin wins 8 games, he keeps his job? Probably, but boy, oh boy, the pressure's mounting. Chip Kelly wins 8 games? Yeah. Sarkisian wins 8 games? Yeah. But I could see Jimbo going 6-6 and keeping it. I could see James Franklin going 6-6. Sarkisian has a 500 record? I don't know. One to wrap with this. Tom Brady. People worried about his appearance, his gauntness, his face. He says he's 45 years old, going through a lot of stuff right now. What's wrong with Tom Brady? He looks wrong. Something looks off about him. Bet against him. Go ahead. He got some injuries up front. I get it. But anybody want to bet against that man's drive and determination? Remember, this guy, 3 times, he won Super Bowls. And he was 500 after the first month of the year. 3 times when this guy's won a Super Bowl, they were 500. For crying out loud. 2 years ago, they were 500 entering November. They were 500 in November. The year they won the Super Bowl and beat the Chiefs. They won all 3 games on the road that year. So with Tom Brady and how I watch Tom Brady, look, pause. He looks weird. Something's off. And he goes, guys, I'm 45 years old now. Yeah. Guys, he's closer to 50 than he is to 40. Matt Ryan has got the second most passing yards in football, in the NFL. Active quarterbacks. And he's a decade younger than Brady. Is he 9 years younger than Brady? Matt Ryan has the second most active passing yards in the NFL. And he's almost a full decade younger than Brady. He's in his mid-30s. It's remarkable what he's done. What's wrong with Brady? He's 45. He looks different. Yeah. Does he slim down? Looks like he's lost a little weight. Yeah. We wonder what's wrong with him. He's 45 years old. Doesn't move as much as he used to. Doesn't move quite as quickly. And look, again, when do you start to worry about Tom Brady? To me, if they start off 0-4, fine, panic. If they're 2-2, not going to panic. If they ever, when do you worry about Brady? If they're ever 3 games below 500. If they're 0-3, you can worry. If they're 1-4, you can worry. 2-5. See where I'm going? Then you can worry. Panic? I don't know if you panic, but you worry. What did the Chiefs start last year? 1-4? 1-3? They're able to navigate this thing. A little bit different, but come on. You can worry about him. You can point at him, say something's off about him. Everybody thinks he says, I'm fine. I'm healthy. I'm ready to go. 100%. Let's go. He's acting like he's withering away. He's got some sort of disease. He's got oh my God, he's got Legionnaire's disease or something. Guys, look, I'd be more concerned about all the injuries up front. And when do these guys start to come back? But here we are, getting ready to enter September. First week of October. Tell me how Tom Brady looks. Guy's coming off a year in which he threw, 43 touchdown passes and 12 interceptions and threw for over 5,000 yards. So even if he has 4,500 yards, 35 touchdowns, and 12 picks, it's still a great year for him. Bet against him. Go ahead. Knock yourself out. Harp Sports, the bar. Looking back again, big things. I think Florida goes 7-5. I got Florida State, Miami, both at 8-4. Also, college football playoff. I have Alabama playing Baylor, Ohio State playing Clemson, Alabama playing Ohio State, and Alabama winning, hence the shirt. My Heisman Trophy winner is DJ Ugalele from Clemson. Nobody wins this thing back-to-back. Preseason favorite never wins. CJ Stroud. Bye. Bryce Young. Bye. And Tom Brady going to be just fine. Harp Sports, the bar, podcast, media, audio, and radio network. Follow, share, like, subscribe at Harp Sports Twitter, at Harp Sports Instagram. You can check us out via that route. Buzzsprout, Spotify, Apple Podcasts via the auditory route. Harp Sports YouTube channel. Harp Sports Facebook page. And, of course, harponsports.com. Remember, stay clean, stay focused, stay strong. Frankenstein. Have fun with your friends.